In the vast silence of space, the Aldarian invasion fleet approached Earth with calculated precision. Their massive biometallic ships gleamed like obsidian blades against the starry backdrop, casting long shadows across continents. Commander Rehan stood on the bridge of the lead vessel, his four-fingered hands clasped behind his back, confidence etched into every line of his alien physique. The Aldarians had conquered hundreds of civilizations. Each world fell with predictable ease, a standardized process of intimidation, negotiation, and eventual submission. They had studied humanity through decades of intercepted transmissions, believing they understood every potential response. TU. Earth in a nondescript research facility located in the Swiss Alps. A team of scientists worked with an intensity that would have surprised the approaching aliens. Dr. Elena Rodriguez reviewed multiple holographic displays, her fingers dancing, across quantum computing interfaces. Around her, engineers and researchers from 16 different countries moved with synchronized purpose. The first official alien transmission arrived precisely at 0347 UTC. Its message was direct and emotionless. Inhabitants of Earth, your civilization has been selected for systematic integration. Resistance is mathematically improbable. Prepare for comprehensive genetic assessment and societal restructuring. Most governments initially froze. Military command structures debated. Diplomatic channels buzzed with confusion and fear. But the research team, which had been preparing for this moment for decades, understood something the aliens did not. Humanity's greatest strength was its unpredictability. Within minutes of receiving the transmission, Elena activated a complex communication protocol. It wasn't a declaration of war, it wasn't a plea for mercy. Instead, it was a carefully constructed response that would make the Aldarians question everything they knew about human potential. The message contained seemingly random data streams, quantum encryption, fractal mathematical sequences, and encoded genetic information. To the untrained eye, it looked like technological noise. But embedded within those streams were sophisticated digital signatures that would gradually unravel the Aldarians' communication networks. Commander Rehan initially interpreted the response as primitive technological babbling. His species had seen such reactions before. Confusion, desperate attempts at communication, the initial shock of imminent conquest. He could not comprehend that what he was receiving was actually a meticulously designed viral algorithm. Around the world, research facilities that had been working in secret began synchronizing. Universities, private technology companies, government research centers, and independent think tanks activated long-prepared protocols. They weren't just preparing for defense, they were redesigning the very concept of technological warfare. Military strategists often believed conflict was about firepower. The team around Elena understood that true strategic advantage came from understanding and manipulating complex systems. Their preparation wasn't just technological. It was a comprehensive approach that integrated psychology, mathematics, communication theory, and adaptive learning algorithms. The Aldarian fleet continued its approach, unaware that each transmission was slowly compromising their own technological infrastructure. What seemed like a straightforward invasion was becoming an increasingly complex engagement. Elena looked at her team, a diverse group representing multiple continents, backgrounds, and scientific disciplines. They weren't just researchers. They were humanity's first line of defense, armed with something far more powerful than traditional weapons, collective intelligence and an unprecedented capacity for rapid adaptation. As the alien ships drew closer to Earth's orbital region, something extraordinary was happening. The very technology the Aldarians believed would ensure their victory was being systematically decoded, analyzed, and prepared for comprehensive counteraction. Commander Rehan would soon learn that humanity was not just another civilization to be conquered. They were something entirely different, a species that transformed challenges into opportunities, that saw potential where others saw limitations. The first contact was about to become far more than a simple invasion. It was going to be a fundamental redefinition of what intelligent life could achieve. In that moment, as the massive alien ships approached and the research team continued their intricate work, humanity stood on the precipice of its most significant moment. Not as a collection of nations, but as a single, interconnected species ready to demonstrate its true potential. The invasion had begun, but the real story was just starting to unfold. The research facility hummed with quiet intensity. Dr. Elena Rodriguez walked between rows of quantum computing stations, her eyes scanning multiple holographic displays. Each screen showed complex algorithms shifting and changing, representing humanity's first line of technological defense against the approaching Alderian invasion. Global communication networks had transformed overnight. What appeared to ordinary people as routine system updates were actually sophisticated defensive protocols being implemented across continents. Universities, technology companies, and research centers worked in unprecedented collaboration, their usual competitive boundaries dissolved by the potential extinction-level threat. In a basement laboratory in Tokyo, a team of young engineers developed adaptive nanotechnology that could rapidly reconfigure electronic systems. Their breakthrough allowed computational networks to learn and modify themselves faster than any known technological system. Each millisecond brought new potential defensive strategies. Satellite networks across the planet began transmitting encrypted data packets that looked like ordinary communication signals. Hidden within these transmissions were complex mathematical sequences designed to potentially disable or confuse alien technological systems. It wasn't just about defense, it was about creating technological uncertainty. The team understood that traditional military thinking would fail against an advanced alien civilization. Their approach combined multiple disciplines: quantum physics, artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and complex systems theory. They weren't preparing for a war in the traditional sense, but designing a comprehensive technological ecosystem that could adapt and respond in real time. Professor Michael Chen, a leading artificial intelligence expert, had spent the last decade developing neural network systems that could learn and evolve faster than any known computational model. His team created AI algorithms capable of analyzing and potentially neutralizing complex technological signatures within microseconds. Genetic research facilities worked on understanding potential biological vulnerabilities. If the aliens intended biological warfare or genetic manipulation, humanity would be prepared. Advanced CRISPR technologies allowed rapid genetic modification techniques that could potentially counter unknown biological threats. Communication between research teams happened through secure quantum encrypted channels. No single team knew the entire defensive strategy. This distributed approach meant that even if one team was compromised, the overall defensive network would remain intact. Underground facilities in multiple countries began constructing advanced manufacturing centers capable of producing sophisticated technological components. These weren't traditional factories, but adaptive production systems that could rapidly prototype and manufacture complex technological solutions. The most critical aspect of their preparation was unpredictability. Traditional military strategies relied on fixed defense mechanisms. This approach was fluid, constantly changing, with multiple potential response scenarios prepared simultaneously. Energy research teams developed new power generation technologies that could provide massive computational resources. Experimental fusion reactors and advanced solar collection systems were being transformed into potential defensive energy networks. In Chile, a group of young researchers developed advanced holographic camouflage technologies that could potentially make entire cities disappear from traditional and advanced scanning systems. Their work went beyond simple visual deception, creating complex computational illusions that could confuse even the most advanced technological surveillance. Elena understood that technological preparation wasn't just about creating weapons. It was about designing a comprehensive response system that could adapt, learn, and respond faster than any known technological civilization. Mathematical models suggested that traditional invasion strategies would fail against this approach. The Alderians would encounter something entirely unexpected: a planetary defense system that wasn't centralized, but distributed across multiple independent yet interconnected networks. As days passed, the technological preparations continued. Each research team worked with a sense of urgency and purpose, knowing that their work represented humanity's first real chance against a technologically superior civilization. The quantum computing centers began running millions of potential invasion scenarios every second. Each scenario was analyzed, broken down, and used to develop potential defensive and offensive strategies. The computational power being generated was unlike anything in human history. What the Aldarians didn't realize was that humanity was transforming itself. This wasn't just technological preparation. It was a species-wide evolutionary response, a collective effort to reimagine survival itself. The invasion was coming. But humanity would not be a passive recipient. They were preparing to show the universe that technological superiority was more than advanced weaponry. It was about adaptability, creativity, and an unbreakable collective spirit. The first wave of Aldarian attack ships entered Earth's atmosphere with calculated precision. Their biometallic hulls gleamed against the morning sky, casting long shadows over major cities. Commander Rehan expected immediate panic, a typical response from civilizations facing technological superiority. Instead, something unexpected happened. The moment the alien ships activated their primary scanning systems, complex, digital sequences began infiltrating their communication networks. What seemed like random technological noise was actually a sophisticated viral algorithm designed to create systemic confusion. In New Delhi, a team of young engineers triggered the first response protocol. Swarm drones, thousands of small, interconnected, aerial units rose from hidden deployment centers. These weren't traditional military drones, but adaptive artificial intelligence units capable of instantaneous strategic recalculation. The drones moved like a living organism, their movements mathematically unpredictable. Each unit communicated through quantum encrypted channels, making their collective behavior impossible to anticipate or interrupt. Where traditional military units would have formed rigid formations, these swarms flowed like liquid, changing strategies millisecond by millisecond. Aldarian weapon systems designed for precise targeting found themselves unable to lock onto individual drone units. The swarms created complex holographic interference, making tracking impossible. Some drones carried electromagnetic pulse generators, others carried advanced scanning equipment, while some were simply decoys designed to create maximum confusion. Commander Rehan watched in growing frustration as his invasion strategy began to unravel. The human response defied every standard invasion protocol in the Aldarian military handbook. These weren't desperate defenders. They were conducting a form of technological warfare that seemed to evolve in real time. Underground research facilities activated another layer of defense. Experimental terrain manipulation systems began altering local geographical conditions. Entire landscapes could shift, creating complex environmental challenges for the alien invasion force. In the Rocky Mountains, geological defense systems created localized electromagnetic interference zones. Alien communication systems suddenly found themselves struggling with unexpected signal disruptions. What should have been a straightforward invasion became a complex technological puzzle. The Aldarian ground assault teams discovered that their advanced scanning technologies were being systematically compromised. Holographic camouflage systems made human defensive positions appear and disappear, creating a nightmarish landscape of constant uncertainty. Military strategists had prepared for physical combat. This was something entirely different. A comprehensive, technological ecosystem designed to make invasion fundamentally impossible. Quantum computing centers across the planet processed invasion scenarios in microseconds. Each alien attack was immediately analyzed, with potential counter-strategies generated faster than the aliens could adjust their tactical approach. The first human casualties were minimal, not because of superior defensive weapons, but because the entire defensive strategy was designed to make direct conflict unnecessary. The goal wasn't to destroy the invaders, but to make invasion fundamentally impractical. Satellite networks began transmitting complex mathematical sequences directly into Aldarian communication systems. These weren't simple jamming signals, but sophisticated algorithms designed to create progressive technological confusion. Commander Rehan realized something fundamental was happening. This wasn't a traditional military engagement. The humans were conducting a form of technological warfare that transformed the entire concept of conflict. Young researchers in multiple countries watched their strategies unfold in real time. They had designed a defensive system that was more than a weapon. It was a living, adaptive technological organism. The Aldarian invasion force found itself trapped in a complex technological landscape where traditional military strategies became increasingly irrelevant. Every attempt to establish a foothold was met with an adaptive response that seemed to anticipate their movements before they happened. As the first day of engagement concluded, it became clear that this was not going to be a traditional invasion. Humanity had transformed itself into something the Aldarians had never encountered, a species capable of reimagining technological warfare at a fundamental level. The initial engagement was complete, and the universe was about to learn that humanity was unlike any civilization they had ever encountered. The psychological warfare began subtly, almost imperceptibly. Dr. Elena Rodriguez understood that true conflict happened long before physical weapons were deployed. Aldarian communication networks started receiving strange transmissions. At first, they seemed like random data streams, but each message contained carefully constructed psychological triggers designed to create maximum uncertainty within their military hierarchy. Communication specialists in multiple research centers had spent years studying Aldarian cultural communication patterns. They understood the alien species' rigid hierarchical structure, a weakness that could be systematically exploited. False communication signals suggested multiple human resistance centers existed simultaneously in different global locations. Each transmission contained just enough authentic technological signatures to create genuine confusion. The Aldarians couldn't determine whether these were real defensive positions or elaborate technological illusions. Commander Rehan watched. His communication networks become increasingly compromised. Intelligence reports contradicted each other. Some suggested massive human resistance movements, while others indicated potential surrender negotiations. The uncertainty was deliberate and devastating. Young researchers had designed psychological algorithms that attacked the fundamental decision-making processes of the alien command structure. These weren't traditional propaganda messages, but complex mathematical sequences that gradually destabilized logical processing. Quantum computing centers generated thousands of potential communication scenarios every second. Each scenario was designed to create maximum psychological disorientation. The goal wasn't to communicate, but to make communication itself become a problem. In Tokyo, a team of linguists and communication experts developed advanced translation algorithms that could introduce subtle semantic uncertainties into Aldarian communication channels. Words that seemed straightforward carried multiple potential meanings, creating progressive cognitive confusion. The psychological warfare went beyond simple misinformation. It was a comprehensive attack on the alien civilization's fundamental understanding of conflict, communication, and strategic decision-making. Holographic communications suggested multiple potential human resistance scenarios. Some transmissions showed highly advanced technological capabilities, while others deliberately appeared primitive and vulnerable. The inconsistency was itself a weapon. Global research teams understood that modern warfare was no longer about physical confrontation. It was about creating complex psychological environments where traditional strategic thinking became impossible. Military communication channels received transmissions that seemed to come from multiple potential sources. Advanced encryption made these signals appear completely authentic, forcing the Aldarians to question every piece of incoming information. The psychological attack wasn't linear. It was a complex, multi-dimensional approach that attacked the alien civilization's fundamental understanding of information processing. Some transmissions contained mathematical sequences that triggered specific cognitive responses in the Aldarian communication networks. These weren't simple jamming signals, but sophisticated algorithms designed to create progressive psychological uncertainty. Commander Rehan found himself trapped in a communication landscape where nothing could be trusted. Every incoming transmission carried multiple potential interpretations. The very act of trying to understand became increasingly complex. Research facilities across different countries worked in synchronized complexity. Each team understood a small part of the larger psychological strategy, ensuring that no single approach could be completely compromised. The psychological warfare went beyond traditional military strategies. It was a comprehensive attack on the alien civilization's fundamental communication infrastructure. Experimental linguistic algorithms introduced subtle communication uncertainties. Words that seemed straightforward carried multiple potential meanings, creating progressive cognitive confusion within the alien command structure. As days passed, the Aldarian invasion force found itself trapped in an increasingly complex psychological landscape. Traditional military decision-making processes became fundamentally compromised. The human approach wasn't about destruction. It was about creating an environment where invasion became progressively more impractical and psychologically exhausting. Commander Rehan realized something fundamental was happening. This wasn't a traditional conflict. Humanity had transformed psychological warfare into a sophisticated technological art form. The psychological engagement continued, a silent war fought through complex communication algorithms and sophisticated technological manipulations. And with each transmission, the Aldarian invasion force moved closer to complete psychological paralysis. The battle was being won long before any physical weapons would be deployed. Humanity had discovered its most powerful weapon, the ability to transform uncertainty itself into a strategic advantage. Near Jupiter's orbital region, the final confrontation began. The massive Aldarian fleet stretched across thousands of kilometers, their biometallic ships forming an intricate technological formation designed for total planetary conquest. Commander Rehan believed victory was inevitable. His civilization had conquered hundreds of worlds. Humanity would be another simple acquisition in their galactic expansion strategy. But humanity had other plans. The first wave of human response came not from traditional weapons, but from complex quantum computational networks. Thousands of adaptive AI systems launched simultaneously, each designed to exploit specific technological vulnerabilities in the alien fleet's communication infrastructure. Experimental satellite networks began generating complex electromagnetic interference patterns. These weren't simple jamming signals, but sophisticated algorithmic sequences that progressively destabilized alien technological systems. Swarm drone technologies rose from multiple global deployment centers. Thousands of interconnected units moved with mathematical precision, creating dynamic defensive and offensive formations that defied traditional military understanding. Holographic camouflage systems made human defensive positions appear and disappear. The Aldarian targeting systems found themselves unable to establish consistent tracking mechanisms. Every time they adapted, the human technological ecosystem transformed again. Underground research facilities activated advanced terrain manipulation technologies. Localized gravitational fields could be temporarily modified, creating unexpected environmental challenges for the alien invasion force. The quantum computing centers processed invasion scenarios in microseconds. Each alien attack strategy was immediately analyzed, with potential counter-strategies generated faster than the Aldarians could adjust their tactical approach. Commander Rehan watched in growing frustration as his invasion strategy systematically unraveled. The human response was nothing like any civilization they had encountered. It was a living, adaptive technological organism that seemed to anticipate movements before they happened. Near Jupiter's orbital region, the battle transformed into something beyond traditional military engagement. It became a complex dance of technological adaptation, where each movement carried multiple potential strategic implications. Experimental energy weapons developed in secret research facilities came online. These weren't traditional laser or plasma technologies, but sophisticated quantum entanglement weapon systems that could simultaneously target multiple alien ships. The human approach wasn't about total destruction. It was about creating an environment where invasion became fundamentally impractical. Each technological response was designed to make continued conflict progressively more exhausting and complex. Genetic research teams had prepared potential biological defense mechanisms. If the aliens attempted genetic warfare, humanity would have immediate adaptive responses prepared. Communication networks across different global research centers worked in synchronized complexity. No single team knew the entire defensive strategy, ensuring that the overall system remained fundamentally resilient. As hours passed, the Aldarian fleet found itself trapped in an increasingly complex technological landscape. Traditional invasion strategies became progressively irrelevant. The final decisive moment came not through massive physical destruction, but through a comprehensive technological shutdown. Human systems progressively compromised alien technological infrastructure, creating a cascading failure across their entire invasion fleet. Commander Rihan watched in disbelief as his massive technological civilization found itself systematically disabled. Not through superior firepower, but through a comprehensive technological ecosystem that transformed conflict itself. The human victory wasn't about conquest. It was a demonstration of a fundamentally different approach to technological engagement, adaptive, collaborative, and continuously evolving. In the silence of space, the Aldarian fleet became a massive, disabled, technological graveyard. Humanity had shown the universe that technological superiority wasn't about advanced weaponry, but about collective intelligence, creativity, and an unbreakable capacity for adaptation. The invasion was over, and the universe had learned a fundamental lesson about human potential. Humanity had transformed from a potential conquest target into something far more significant, a civilization capable of reimagining technological warfare at its most fundamental level. The decisive victory was complete. And it was only the beginning.